Here we are. Hello, we are live. It's Thursday, the 4th of September. Just realised I probably need to charge this slightly. That should be right. Stock market's doing well, actually, in the last couple of days. Powering up higher today. This is kind of the market open here. Pushing into the close a little bit, although we are seeing a little bit of downwards price action going into the close. Let me just draw that. Nice old trend line there heading into Friday's price action. Is that all-time highs? It is. All-time highs is there. Today we're going to go over the edgeful platform. We're going to go over my winning trade that I had yesterday. We're not taking any trades today just because the data that I normally play with is already been broken to the negative side. So what we'll do is this is the swing preset that I've got. I'm going to move that to the edgeful night preset. Pretty sure you can hear me. I did a little test before we went live and I can see the bars moving. So I'm going to go ahead and say, yes, I am officially audible. Right, let's get rid of that. Let's add power hour breakout and add initial balance breakout like we normally do in these sessions. If you're new to this, I trade with edgeful, but I trade in the evening with edgeful. This is the hourly chart. I need to switch that to the 5-minute chart. Here we go. Go back there. Yeah, so I trade in the evenings just because obviously I live in the UK. I'm working through the market open, which is a bit of a shame because there's lots of reports you can use in relation to the market open, like the ORB, they call it orb range, and obviously the initial balance breakout report. So we've got where should we start? Let's start by getting rid of some lines, shall we? There's too many lines on the screen. Manram has joined us. Welcome, Manram. We normally see you on a Sunday. Yes. Okay. Yes. Yes. Not sure what that's in relation to. I said a few things. It could be in relation to a few things. But yeah, let's go back to the chart. Let's get rid of a few lines we have here. I'm guessing it's probably these two. No, actually. There we go. That's one. And that's another one. Okay, and maybe this one? No. Well, either way, let's just get rid of all of them. Start with a clean chart. Start the session with a clean chart, shall we? So what we've got here in the top left-hand corner is the initial balance breakout indicator set by edgeful themselves. They have a whole section of them, invite only, which is you kind of, when you sign up, they'll give you all of them for free, and there's so many of them. And there's a few algo ones as well, so help you, with the algorithms side of things. But yeah, we've selected at the moment the ones on the top left. I have two different presets for edgeful night, as you can see up here in the top right hand corner, and edgeful day, which, as I mentioned earlier, is more towards the kind of the opening reports. But sometimes, I get a day off or have a half day or something like that, I'll come and have a look at the charts if I'm able to see if there's anything like that. That's very rare, unfortunately. But I'm happy with the breakout, the power hour breakout report and the power hour continuation report as well. Both, I'm profitable on both. I know how to trade both, so it kind of works. And that's what these sessions are for. They're for me to kind of dive into those reports and give you a bit more insight as well. To not just trade on the open, but you can also trade on the close. Right. So you can see here in the top left-hand corner, initial balance breakout report. And what that is basically once the first hour has played out. So this box that you see here, it's kind of greenish, kind of greeny blue. A greeny blue box, that is the first hour of trading, and then that is the high of that hour, and the low of that hour is the initial balance, essentially. And the breakout is basically a breakout from the upside or the downside. In this case today, we had the breakout to the upside, and it held, as you can see, on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different occasions. So you could have added positions there to go to the upside, but that's not the report we're talking about. We're talking about the levels that are produced from this price action, essentially. So we've got the 1 hour. What we'll do, actually, we'll make it a little bit easier for you to understand. We'll draw a box halfway. This will be very key to the movement that we're about to talk about. So all of these lines that you see here, this is 0.5, 1, 1.5, and that is literally related to this box, the initial balance breakout report. So you can see that every day they will be completely different sizes, because obviously every day you have different price action within the first hour. And we'll talk about my winning trade in just a little while. But going back to this one, we can see that this box is half of the initial balance breakout, and obviously goes up in sections. And albeit that obviously the levels that are set throughout the day are not perfect, but it does give you kind of a rough area of where that is kind of traded. So you can see here, it kind of broke to the upside, came back down and retested it, and then again moved to the upside. You would need a few more things to kind of help you trade at that point, because you wouldn't just go in based on this level. You'd need like a support resistance, you'd need a moving average, something like that, or even just a simple volume profile on the right side. But yes, that is the initial balance breakout report. And what I do, which I think this is probably a good segue to go into the trade that I had yesterday. So let's go back to yesterday. Here we go, dragging that across the screen. Yesterday we had a really nice close into the market end, which was really nice to see, actually. So what we had here was quite simple. The power hour breakout report is the trading in the last hour. So you can see this line here, that's 8 p.m. in my time. You can see in the top right hand corner. 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. is power hour. For you, it would be 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. if you're on the East Coast. And if you're on the West Coast, probably 12 to 1, if my maths is right, or 1 to 2, something like that. But you can work that out. And then it basically, once power hour starts, this line is formed. And then you've got the low of the day set throughout the day, which you can see was here, actually just before power hour, which is kind of ideal. And I'll get into that in a second. And the high of day as well, up here. So jumping into the platform itself, it won't have yesterday's data, but I do have a screenshot, I think. Let's go ahead and find that screenshot. Bear with me a second. I think that's it. Where's the date? Oh, yes, there. 3rd of the 9th. So here we have on the screen, it's just popped up yesterday's data. So we can see the likelihood of a new low of day, zoom in, is 18.25%. So it's not very high. So that's what we based our trade on in terms of the data side of things. This data goes back 6 months for every single trading day. I didn't select the specific day on this particular time. I normally do. I don't know why I didn't. But, you know, the specific day probably would have been better looking data anyway, so that's okay. So what I did is I simply, once power hour started, which is this blue line here, I placed the trade in the first kind of 15 minutes or so of that last hour. And as you can see, it got really nice price action, and it actually got really, really nice price action. So what I did was I have a long position here to show you. I set my target, which looks pathetic now, but I set my target of 1.6 ratio, which is, I think, completely fine for a trade to be done within 30 minutes, 40 minutes, that kind of thing. And what I did was obviously take partial profits here, and then I let the rest run into the close. And then I closed the position before the close, because that's where the data lies, if you see what I mean. So the data doesn't go into today, it ends yesterday, because it's down to just 1 day segment. If you see what I mean. So hopefully that makes sense with the power hour breakout report. In terms of targets, obviously you can see what I've aimed for. I've gone back up to the initial balance breakout line, which was set in the first hour, as we spoke about earlier. It's acted as support here throughout the day and resistance. So I think that was a good target to have initially. And then we've got some retracement lines throughout the day, which you can see get hit quite regularly. And of course, the upper band of the initial breakout there. So that actually touched before the market closed, which was, you know, I don't know. Obviously, the market doesn't react like this every day. Of course, this is a massive kind of buyback. Not too sure what brought that one on. Must be something to do with news. I can't remember now. But yeah, the important thing is I closed it before the market closed, and of course that was a nice trade, well done. My entry point, unfortunately, wasn't perfect. I think it was actually somewhere up here. I haven't drawn that very nicely on the screen here. And of course, the stop loss will be below the low of day because that's where the data lies, very simply. I'm very aware I've done a lot of talking, but you might have to watch this back and just play it on 0.5 speed. Anyway, let's have a look around and see what's going on. On Edgeful platform, you can actually look at the daily bias as well. I'm in a different room, so my internet's not brilliant in this room. The daily bias is 63% bullish with a little bit of neutral and 30% bearish, and that's the bearish is actually set by, looks like mostly Google and Apple, which is weird because they're both up. Might be because they're compared to yesterday, because yesterday was a pretty good day for both of those stocks. Let's go back to the charts. Let's go back to current price action. This is a good example of obviously the trade not always working out. And this is why you need to be careful with it, of course, because the data is the data. So yesterday we had, as you remember, 18.25% in our favor. Whereas today, which we can go to the watch list down here, go to SPY, go to Power Hour Breakout Report. We can customize the day on one by the day. And you can see a new high of day made is 28%, which actually is significantly higher than 18%. So you can use that data still because it is still very much in your favor. It's probably a 1 out of 3. But anything below 20% in my book is pretty damn good for a trade. But you should also really be coupling it with different things. Like a couple of weeks ago, I did one, and I coupled it with a support resistance and a trend line, and it worked, perfectly. So I had the data behind me, and I had 2 different technical analysis points as well. So yeah, but in this case, you can see on the screen here, the low of day was set down here, actually in the first hour, and of course it's been going up since. And the high of day was set just before power hour, as you can see. And it's just kept powering on higher. But with these days, that it sometimes can be the case because of these days, just kind of low volume days, kind of pushing it up slowly. It happens fairly regularly within the market. You just need to be aware of that as you go through. So, for example, if you got into power hour, you wouldn't place a short just here, just because of the recent price action. And you don't really have anything to kind of go off of. So if we zoom out, the hourly chart, well, to be fair, you do have a bit of resistance there. But I mean, it looks like it's gunning for all-time highs again. Did I mark that out? All-time highs is there. So who knows? I mean, tomorrow it looks like we're going to get all-time highs again by the looks of it. So it's interesting. This is the US 500 that I use for it. But of course, it's just the SPY. I could just switch it to the SPY as well. I could just switch it to the SPY. It's going to be exactly the same things. It's just because I happened to be on that chart at that time. So I do normally use the SPY, to be honest. Oh, why is there so many lines on the screen? Here we go. Yeah, look, it just continues to power higher into the close, so I just wouldn't touch that at this particular time. Let's have a look at some stocks around. Tesla doing pretty well. It's had a bit of a doji candle yesterday, as you can see. Just pushing off of the 20-minute average today. This is a trade that I entered yesterday, not today. So that's good. That's hopefully going to mature and push to the upside. I treated this as a bit of a retest. Obviously, no trend line is perfect. I could technically drag this trend line down here to make it look better as a bounce, but I'll leave the line where it is. But it's in the vicinity. It's got lots of volume. It's got 20-minute average, and obviously the support of the trend line just below it. This could actually be dragged up a little bit higher, but for now I'm keeping it 308. But if we do get a break of this to the upside, then of course I will bring that stop loss up nice and sharp, probably about 320, 318, that sort of area, just to minimize my risk, obviously. The year's been going all right, actually, to be fair, given the massive move we've had in the last couple of months. Coming back down to kind of bull flag, which is nice. The last 2 days before today have been really nice buyback up. Similar sort of thing today. Looks like we might be losing 6 potentially, so we'll have to watch out for that in the coming days. Amazon doing really well. Bought this one yesterday. I think I mentioned it this morning on X. What I want to see really is to kind of push up to about 240-ish. Doesn't really matter where. And then I'll drop back down to this kind of 234 and hold that area, because this trend line goes back to February. Doesn't sound like a long time, but in trading terms, it could be a long time. A lot of candles on the screen. Yeah. So actually, let's talk about the power hour continuation report then, because we've got this type of day today where it's kind of just powering higher. It doesn't seem like it's going to stop. With 15 minutes left into the market, we're still making new highs on the day. So let's go to the power hour continuation report, which is up here on the right underneath my bookmarks. There we go, bookmarks. I'll have some water first. I think I've just spoken about 20 minutes straight. I don't know if people on X can actually comment or not. I'm assuming it's live on X. Let's have a look. Of course, my internet. Come on. Yes, I am. It's always a tricky time to post a live stream going to the close, because everyone in America is either at work or leaving work. But of course, the beauty of live streams is you can watch them back afterwards. So that's what I would expect, of course. Anyway, what we're talking about, power hour continuation report. You can see that here on the right side. I brought it up now. So when power hour has started, 85% of the time it has closed green in the last 6 months of every single day. We'll switch that to by weekday, and it automatically populate the Thursdays in the last 6 months. And of course, you've still got a nice 69% closed green. So 69% of the time, it has closed above this line. Nope. It is, sorry, excuse me. Well, kind of. But when we enter this line, the vertical one, that's obviously the start of power hour. And then once you enter the power hour, go into the 8 o'clock area, it is 60%, 69% of the time closed green. So anywhere above this area is a close above in the green. Now, of course, you can have that data. You can play it, especially with a day like this. You could probably just play it and just kind of enter a trade at that point, even though it is at highs of the day, and then just keep a stop loss nice and tight, because you know that it's 69% of the time it's going to stay above this line, above this candle, should I say? But again, it's quite risky with that. What I like to do is kind of use it with the power hour breakout report, which I've shown before in the previous live streams. Yeah. I'm amazed about Amazon today. 4% up. There's no news. Well, not that I saw. I think it's just volume profile. So you can see on the right side there, loads of volume pushing out of it. I mean, all-time highs is not far away now, really. It's 242. I'm going to ask you a question. Do you hold your trades through the weekend? Through the weekends, or do you just swing trade on a weekly basis? I'd be interested to see what you say. Because me personally, it depends on what size I've got on each trade, to be honest, and what the fees are, the weekend fees. Obviously, when you hold over the weekend, it does cost a bit of money. Not a lot, but Also depends where you are in that position. If you're up like 10-15%, then it doesn't really matter the fees, because your stop loss will be obviously very much in the break even, or a bit higher than that, so you can pay your fees with the profits that you've already made on that trade. But the weekend, for example, if Donald Trump comes out and says, America's not doing so well, I was going to say a rude word then. If it's not doing so well, then the market will be down 2-3%, and then that will just wipe out all your trades. So we've got to be careful of the psychology around these things as well, because obviously that could really ruin you if something comes back on you over a weekend. I've been there, done that in the past, which is why I'm fairly cautious about going through the weekend with volume. I don't mind taking 1 or 2 through, but taking 5 or 6 trades through, then that's a big problem. Big problem. Yeah, look, we're just powering further into the close here. 10 minutes left to go. We've got some volume probably coming in. Tends to be coming in the last half an hour or so. Power hour in general, actually, it looks like it's about double volume. So I mean, as well, you can use the data that edgeful produces with the indicators you already have on the screen. So you could also use it with anchor VWAPs and the moving averages, as I've just brought up here on the screen here. So there's plenty of ways to use it with. So you can just add that data to your strategy, but you can also adapt your strategy to kind of fit the data as well, if that makes sense. So there's definitely plenty of ways you can do it. What I should say is the link for the edgeful platform is in the description down below if you're watching on YouTube. If not, then it is on X. If you tap onto my profile, it will be on there as well. Let's have a look around, see what's going on into other names. We're on the daily charts here. Alibaba giving back some of its gains it's made in the last week. Obviously, we had earnings last Friday morning, I think it was, and it did pretty well. Well, the actual earnings weren't great, but the guidance and the kind of future part with the chip, etc., was quite exciting for it. What we do need to see is it hold this 20-move average for sure. I've got my stop losses around 27, 26, which I probably should bring that up to. I do this. I change the stop loss on my platform, but not on the chart. So it's about 127, which is a bit of a risk. I actually thought it might hold up here for a few more days. This line of 132 would be nice to hold, especially going into the weekend. Rubric, forever frustrating, just keeps trading sideways. Rivian, big drop down today. I think it was down 7 or 8% at one point. But of course, it hit the target. I mentioned this target throughout the week and throughout last week. Throughout my charting, obviously on X. This is a point that I wanted to get to, and it did get to that. I didn't sell anything because long-term position for me. It's just more of an observation of it will hit 14.50 at some point, and it did. It actually hit 15. Neo, we've talked about already. Google, I mean, just exceptional. Amazing what a bit of news can do to a stock, even the big ones. It was up 8% yesterday. It's up again 0.64% today. Absolutely flying. I do have this trend-based Fibonacci drawn on the screen here. As you can see, that's how I've kind of set it up. I was expecting resistance here at 232, and it kind of did yesterday, and it pushed back up throughout the day. But it looks like it's just kind of going straight through that, and I have 253 next. So my next target profit is actually 248. Because I always like to go a little bit lower with the Fibonacci extensions, because you never know if it's actually going to be, exact or not. Huge move from Google, of course. Fantastic. It's a refreshing site. I mean, it's been going pretty well, to be fair. But I didn't really get into it until here, I think. My initial trade was, I can't remember now. I should really save them on the screen. My initial trade was about here to here, something like that. but then obviously sold it. And then entered again at this level, about 200, maybe slightly lower. I think it was just dropped down below this trend line there. Oh. Tesla pushing into the close. Now, if we can really push into the close now, the next 5 minutes, that'd be great. And then tomorrow, really push out of this formation, these wedges that have been set. I've had 420 on my chart for a very long time, and of course, that's a homage to Elon Musk and his ways. But I've got 400 as probably a take profit zone, just because it's a bit more psychological. It's less memey, should we say. And of course, it's a gap fill as well from way back when in January of this year. So Tesla going well. Looks like it's kind of really accelerating into the close. Is Aspire still pushing? Oh, wow, yes. There you go. And that's the beauty of these lines as well that have been set by the edgeful initial balance breakout lines. They do play around these lines. You can see it's pushed straight off of that with the moving average. So that's what I was talking about earlier, having that confluence within your trading as well, even on the smaller time frames. I would expect it to kind of stall around this area because this is what, 1, 2. This is 2 initial balance breakouts. Don't get that move very often. Anyway, what we were doing, we were scrolling through these stocks. Tesla. You didn't just dab, did you? Crazy. I know this person, by the way. Yeah. Good friend of mine. All right, so Amazon. Amazon we've covered already. Lucid, almost down on my target. Almost. 14 to 15 as well. I'll be buying quite a few. Not as cheap as they used to be, of course, but still the same sort of value. Fundamentals haven't changed. Fundamentals aren't brilliant, but of course the expectation of the stock going into the next 2 to 3 years is quite appealing to me. I don't mind taking that risk. Obviously, it'll be a smaller percentage of my portfolio, but if it gets down to 14, 15, which it looks like it's on its way, I'll be very much inclined to be buying some. Not financial advice. Blah blah blah. Oplo, what a mess! Look at this. So edgeful is a plugin for TradingView. No. I've got dry mouth. I'll get to that in a second. Edgeful is a platform you sign up for, which gives you data in certain parts of the market. For me personally, I trade the power hour breakout report a lot, which is the trading in the last hour of every day. I've spoken so much, my voice is just closed up. But yeah, it gives you the data, and then of course, once you sign up, you have to put your username, which for me is actually Sean C Trades, username into like a thing that you put it in there, and it kind of grants you access. I can't remember what that word is, and then you just basically get the invite only stuff here. Loads of them. I hope that made sense, but my voice is closing up. Good job I don't stream every day, otherwise I'd be voiceless. Where were we? Oclo. I dabbed all over your stream. I'm sure you did. What's happening with Lucid's future to make you interested? Just the switch between going from Teslas into different electric vehicles. I mean, their battery packs as well are very, very substantial, massive, 100 kilowatts or something like that. And of course, if you're sponsored by Timothy Chalamet, you're doing something right. Well, let's move on. The market's now closed. This is typically where I end the stream, but we'll just go through a few more stocks. But really exceptional price action from today in the market. 82% up. 82%. Jesus, imagine 0.82% up for the market, which is quite something. Really quite something. It'd be interesting to see what Friday brings, because we've had this, right? Let me just switch back to a normal chart. A bit easier. Go to SPY, and then we'll jump into the 15-minute chart, a bit more visual. So these breaks that you can see are obviously the days. So today, really nice price action. Dropped down early in the morning, continued up higher, just powering to close. You can see a similar price action yesterday, kind of dropped down, again kind of dropped down, but pushed into the close. Again on Wednesday, no, we'll be on Tuesday. This is Tuesday, dropped down, pushed into the close. We're getting a lot of pushes into the close, which means the bulls are still very much there. The bulls are still very much still under control. The bears tried to take over on Monday, Tuesday, but it didn't quite work out. I think we do just keep powering higher. And I mentioned this in the stream on Sunday with Kay. When the stock market is like this, it's very hard to slow it down. But when it does, it just goes whoo. You won't see this price action. You'll see these candles probably double the size. And then, you know, the classic saying is you take the elevator up, which you can kind of see here, and then the window down, which is just straight down. But sometimes you need a catalyst for that. You need something like tariffs, to particularly bad headline, poor earnings seasons, that kind of stuff. So we'll see. At the moment, the market's driven by, you know, tariffs, of course, inflation, and other metrics as well. What have I done? Okay. Well, I guess this might be a good time to close. I seem to have lost connection. Well, I don't have a lost connection. Oh, here we are. Okay. Oscar, doing really well. Really wish I bought where I put that circle, because that's normally where I buy. But, you know, can't get them all. You know, we will end here. I think we don't want to run on too long. I'm normally keeping these to about half an hour long. I think we covered the edgeful platform really well. We went over the power breakout report. We went over my winning trade from yesterday. So if you missed all of that, you're just joining now. Do go ahead and check it out on my YouTube channel, which is @SeanTrades_. As you can see on the screen. I don't know if I can pull myself a bit bigger. Well, that was marginally bigger. Anyway, take care, everyone. I hope you trade safe. You've done well this week. Don't be afraid to not trade tomorrow. If you've got a green week, then just sit on it. Go into the weekend, have a look at your trades and what made you feel good throughout the trading, whether you followed your rules, that kind of stuff. So yeah, take care, everyone. Trade safe, and I'll see you next week.